Super. BS.
Well, we are back, and we're better than ever. We've been killing it, okay? We all watched Suicide Squad, and we loved it. I am the lovable baby boy, Brank, back from the dead and ready to break some bread. And I'm here with the person who loved the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, more than anyone else I know on this entire planet.
I'm love of Suicide Squatters, Josh, the Josh Squad, just chilling. You know,
What's your favorite Suicide Squad joke?
My boy Starro, you know?
Yeah, Starro, man. Hell yeah. Tell us all your favorite Suicide Squad jokes, and don't leave any of them out. So what did you think about the movie?
So initially I was like, I don't know if I like it. And then I woke up the next day, I'm like, oh, it was okay, I guess. It was better than the David Ayer Suicide Squad, way better than that one. It didn't feel, it felt like I was watching like Crank 2 or like Ghost Rider 2, where like the movie knew that it wasn't serious.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
like,
that's James Gunn's stick, though, right? Isn't that like kind of what he does?
Even in Guardians of the Galaxy, though, like he was good at crafting a narrative that made you care about the characters. Like in this one, like you didn't really care about anybody because literally anybody could die at any moment. So it's I don't know. I felt like he was trying to force those serious moments in there, and that I think that's what ruined it for me. That's what made the movie feel so uncomfortable for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so if he would have like joked through the whole thing, you know, and not like had any serious, connective tissue anywhere in there, I think I probably would have liked it a lot more.
I guess I felt like the movie was pretty light to all in all. You know, I mean, it's definitely like not the lightest film ever, but it's not as serious as almost anything else. Well, anyways, you guys know us as Super BS, a podcast about suicide squads and bros.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate Nathan Fillion's character in that movie?
Oh, the decapitated kid or whatever?
The detachable arm guy, and he just sits there and like slaps people.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I will say I always enjoy the movies. Like I think they did the same thing in Deadpool 2, where they have like 50 people they introduce, and they're all like, this guy does this, you know, and it's all just like a bit. That's kind of what that reminded me of. I think that was Deadpool 2, right? Where they're all on like a helicopter and they do like jokes. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best. I have to say it was not the worst though. Like it's probably up there in DC films as one of the better ones in the modern day DC extended universe. But yeah, my man, because Suicide Squad's a video game, as we all know, that's why we were talking about it. No, have you been playing any games recently?
Yeah, I have been playing. I've been diving back into Forza Horizon 3. Not really much else to say about that. I have played Haven Park, and I talked to you about this one off the cast. Really digging the game, you know, because we chatted about a short hike, and that's what I said that this game reminds me of.
Yeah.
There's just something relaxing about it. Like it's a nature sim, but it's also kind of a business sim because you are this bird that runs this what do you call it, like a national park or a nature park or whatever.
You're a park ranger.
And you go around and you have to like make sure you have to find all the camps, and you have to find all the campers, and you have to gather resources. You can build things for the campers. It's basically your job to upkeep this this nature park.
Okay.
And, you know, it's got a really, like, nice soundtrack. You can hear the wind blowing and all that. Yeah, it's a lot better than I thought it would be. You know, like, I saw some pictures of it, like, I don't know if I'm going to like this very much. But after kind of running around it for a bit, I am quite enamored with this game, you know, probably enough to finish it. But, like, you know, like we talked about with, like, Spiritfarer and A Short Hike and all these games where you're basically... you know, these sims of different types, you have to play it all without like taking a break. So I'm, you know, if I can't get through the game in the next like 3 days, I probably won't finish it, but I really hope to.
Yeah. What do you do? Like, I know you mentioned some of the things you do in the game, but like Is there an upgrade system? I mean, like what's like in Short Hike, you essentially walk around and try to climb a mountain and you gain upgrade abilities and meet people and stuff. What do you do in Haven Park? Is it like Stardew Valley? Are you planning stuff? Like what is the game?
No, it's like it's your job basically. You're upkeeping and building on this nature park, I guess you can call it. So you gather resources and you can build lamps and cabins and you can build things that the campers can enjoy. You want to get more campers into the park, so it's your job to upkeep and I guess build onto that that island or land or wherever you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that there was some leveling up too in the game. Like I saw like a level 9 at the bottom with an experience system.
You get experience points. So like the more that you do in the game, the more experience points you get, and that gets you higher. And the higher you get, the more you get access to different types of resources.
Oh, okay. And the resources are used to upgrade your character or
to upgrade the park. Like you build things and you can talk to people and you get more campers and all that good stuff.
Do you get any more like traversal abilities as you upgrade? Like in Short Hike, the cool thing was you ended up being able to like fly and do all this other stuff by getting these golden feathers that let you essentially cross more of the mountain.
Yeah, I don't actually know yet. I've been curious about that myself because there's a lot of, a lot of the park that I haven't figured out how to access yet. So I'm curious if maybe there's flying, or maybe like once you hit a certain level, bridges appear somewhere and you get to walk across those and go to the next one, or you need to build the bridges. So I would like to get farther in to kind of get an answer to that question. But as of right now, I don't know. I'm assuming yes, but I don't know 100%.
I can't imagine the game's very long. How long do you think it's going to take you to beat it? Like a couple hours?
I'm guessing it's a 3 to 4 hour game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw some trailers for it. It looked really neat. It seems like it's a really small studio. Did you get a chance to talk to the developers, or they just send you a code?
No, I got sent a code. It just kind of like showed up in my email box. I said, hey, I'd love to play this game. And then, a week and a half later, they sent me the code. So I've kind of been taking my time with it since it's already out. So
yeah. Is it on Switch, or what are you playing on?
It is on Switch. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if it's on.
It's also on PC. I don't know if it's on any of the other consoles, but I know it's on PC and Switch. I just didn't know what they gave you a code for normally. Yeah, it seems like it's
Nintendo Switch, PC, Mac. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds neat, man. I'm interested to see or to hear your final thoughts if you finish it. Have you been playing anything else new this week?
I have not as much as I'd like. I haven't really done much gaming.
Well, I played a game, a Game Pass game called Dodgeball Academy. Did you see that one?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, I only played about an hour of it. It's pretty neat. It's a game where you essentially play dodgeball. So there's like a throw and a catch mechanic, and it's an RPG. So you gain more HP to last longer. It's fun. It has a problem that I have with a lot of indie games where it's very talky. Like it just kind of sends you from one place to the next as people give you exposition or they introduce characters. And that style of game always...
It's not just a narrative. It's an actual, there's a story to it.
There's a story, yes. Yeah, there's a story to it. And, some people probably really dig that. For me, the problem is, like a lot of people who write stories, they like front-loading it seems like. So
got it.
Like the beginning of the game, you're trying to find like people to join your dodgeball squad, and it just sends you around the map so you can get to know the places to a bunch of people who don't end up joining your dodgeball team. So you're just kind of like talking to these people and then fighting them in a dodgeball match, then going to another place, then talking to somebody, then fighting them in a dodgeball match. I would like to play more of it. I do wish I liked playing xCloud stuff more, because I feel like it'd be a perfect xCloud game, like if it worked well. But it's neat. It's got a pretty cool art style. Kind of reminds me of Paper Mario. I would definitely recommend checking it out. I have not gone back to the Ascent. I want to play that with you or the doctor. some point. And then really the only game I've spent some time with outside of some older titles I'll talk about in a second is Judgment, which we've talked about several times here.
Yeah.
I'm finally kind of getting back into that. It's still no Like a Dragon. Like, I like the RPG mechanics of Like a Dragon a lot more than the beat 'em up.
So what
games.
pulled you out of it in the first place? So like what made you take
No
a
quick
break from it?
resume.
Okay.
We talked about this before. Yeah, no quick resume really made it so I just did not want to keep playing it. And that's still something I kind of fight with because every time I turn it off, I have to start again. And, I mean, obviously the Series X load times are very fast, but you're still talking about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get in almost every time because you have to go through several menus. I've kind of had to come to terms with the fact I think quick resume is broken, and I don't think Microsoft plans on fixing it. So it is really, really disappointing to me that they let that feature die so quickly. But since no games support it anymore, and none of the older titles are supporting it, it makes me feel like it's dead. So the only title I know that supports quick resume is Apex Legends, and the game doesn't work with quick resume. So I have to manually quit out of that game every time, and if I forget, then I have to go through an extra step, which is actually more annoying. I wish I could say that game I don't want quick resume to work with it, but it's one of the few that does work. So it makes, quick resume is now becoming one of my most hated features, which is really disappointing because it's like one of my favorite thing that they've essentially ruined.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that they toted about, when they were talking about the Series X coming out. And I guess it's a lot of games that it either came out broken or it just, I guess maybe they weren't ready for it. Like there's something in the game that's preventing them from being able to use that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I've come across that issue a lot too, except for with stuff on Games Pass. I'm able to just jump right back into it. So I don't know. Maybe it's a disc-based thing.
Yeah, all I know is it reminds me a lot of. Do you remember the Snap feature from Xbox One?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me exactly of that. It's not a disc-based thing. I have all digital titles. None of them work with quick resume either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't even own a disc, and not one of my titles work. Snap was that thing where you could like play TV on the side or snap another screen, and it worked on Xbox One for about a year almost, and then they discontinued it, kind of similar to Kinect. It's really, really disappointing because it definitely kills my faith in Microsoft supporting all of their features. Like some of them, like Kinect, I never really cared that much about. I did use the voice features a lot, but this is, that's, I don't know if I'll finish Judgment purely because, like I said, I have to spend an extra 2 minutes or so to start it up every time. But all of my games don't work with quick resume anymore. The last game that I had that worked with it was Resident Evil Village. So it's real bad, man. I don't know if they're ever planning on fixing it, and for me, that's just a bummer to have a feature that's so poorly implemented that they've given up on it 6 months after it came out, and it was like my favorite feature when I got my Series X. Beyond that, though, beyond like shitting on Microsoft, not because we generally don't do that very often here, but I definitely need to.
We don't.
We don't.
What?
Not on Microsoft.
Oh.
We generally don't take them down a lot. And, I play my Series X like 3 times as much as my PS5, easily way more than that, actually. So, I don't want to say bad things only because it's a very powerful console. I wanted to play some old games. I've been really wanting to get back into Chrono Trigger. I sold my 3DS, so I can't play my DS version of it.
Wait, hold on. Just so you guys know, we're about to introduce a new segment called the Super BS Retro Rally.
Oh.
All right, and this feels like this is appropriate for this new segment. So
okay,
now,
sure. What is this Retro Rally?
There will be some new music added into this segment at some point, but Retro Rally is where we talk about retro games that we have either collected recently or went back and played recently.
Oh, okay. Kick it off then. Kick off Retro Rally before I start talking about older titles.
All right. So we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, the Gardens Crusade. It hasn't come in yet, but at Comic-Con, I did pick up a copy of the 1996 darling Batman Forever on Sega Genesis.
I had that game as well.
This is a side-scrolling, I guess, I don't know if you call it, it's not a platformer, but it has like, the different platforms you can jump up and down on. It has co-op play. I don't know if you remember being able to play with Batman and Robin. You can have your buddy play on the other controller.
Yep.
This was a fun game based on the Joel Schumacher Batman Forever movie. No, you can't tell if the Batman suit has nipples on it. That's, I guess, if you're looking for that.
It's the Val Kilmer version of Batman, right?
The Val Kilmer, yeah. And the movie had Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones.
Dude, that movie was incredible, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. Best Batman film.
Yeah, buddy. So
how much does a retro game like that cost?
So I paid $20 for this.
Okay. It's in complete in box.
It's complete in box. So if you look at this, I have...
This is for the video viewers. He's showing us the box, the game.
The cartridge is there, and the manual and the Batman poster is in there.
Nice.
So everything's in there that it came with. The game is only worth $13 new in box. It's $18 not new in box. It's $13 complete in box, which is CIB if you look on your gaming chart apps.
Okay.
I think it's worth like $18 new in box and like $6 separate. So I got kind of ripped off on it, but it's in really nice shape. So
yeah,
I guess you can call it a $4 investment.
Yeah, I think that stuff's neat. So when is your collecting, before I start talking about old games I played and stuff, when is your collecting going to end, or where does it begin and end? Like, are there titles you're trying to get? Like, what is the end game with your retro collecting?
So I would like to get all of the Sega Genesis collection. And
like every game that released on Sega Genesis?
Yeah, eventually. I know it's going to cost a lot of money because there's a lot. But as for PlayStation, like right now, there's only certain titles for PlayStation that I'm just kind of grabbing.
Yeah, there's 713 games that released for Sega Genesis. Just
exactly,
FYI.
Yeah. So there's a lot. But with PlayStation, there are certain titles I'm trying to get. You know, like the Final Fantasies. I want to get Wild Arms and Xenogears and a couple others.
Got to get Legend of Dragoon, man.
Yeah, exactly. And and as for like the other consoles, Sega Saturn and CD and Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, if there's something, if I see like a ridiculous deal that I can't pass up, I'll probably grab some stuff there, but I'm not on the hunt for any of that stuff as of right now.
Oh, okay. I was just curious about that because that's, I've never... Well, that's not true. I was a collector when I was younger, and I have a lot of the best Super Nintendo RPGs, not complete in box anymore because I wasn't that, I just played them. But I have like Final Fantasy 3, which is, Final Fantasy 6, released on Super Nintendo as Final Fantasy 3, and Final Fantasy 2, and Chrono Trigger, and Earthbound, and all of those titles, as well as like all the PS1 RPGs in fairly good condition. But there are very few games I've actually gone out to collect, and I think if I were going to collect a retro game, I would probably only want to get Chrono Trigger complete in box, like a perfect condition of it. But those are hundreds of dollars for that.
On PS1?
No, the Super Nintendo version.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. Because there's a Chrono Cross right now. You can get a complete in box with the manuals all attached for about $45.
I already have that, and I actually already have the PlayStation version of Chrono Trigger complete as well. No, Chrono Trigger on Super Nintendo, I just got too late to the party. I actually also have the DS version of it. But that one I got after it was kind of hard to find the complete in boxes, and we got it for like $60, which looking back now is actually like a steal for those games. But
oh, absolutely. I know. I wish I had the hindsight to buy like 2 copies of certain things.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, I know Shinobi 3 is worth a little bit of money, and some of the old Castlevania games are.
Did you ever get the Brave Fencer Musashi? I remember that was a game that you were talking about a lot.
I did. So I bought that on eBay for about $60, and then over the COVID years, the value of it went up to about like 85. So I've profited. I'm not profited, but I'm up about $15. Same thing with Ergies. I think that game went up about $25 compared to what I paid for, which I think was around $65.
Well, I mean, I don't know how good your collection of Brave Fencer Musashi is right now, but there's very few that if you have the manual as well as the case and the game, there's very few that are going for less than $150 right now. So
yeah, I have. Mine has the manual in it.
Yeah, so yours might be even worth more, Yeah.
You
never know. Brave Fencer Musashi is a game I wish they would actually re-release at some point. just for like an old throwback. That'd be a fun one to play.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I never got around to play. I was wanting to play the Musashi 2 or whatever the sequel was.
Yeah, it was on the
but I just
PS2.
Yeah, I just never got around to getting that. Give me like 2 seconds, man. I gotta let my dog out real quick.
For this retro roundup, that's what you want to call this segment, right?
The Retro Rally.
Retro Rally.
Yeah.
Because we are big dirt rally fans. We're all into NASCAR here.
NASCAR, just cars on dirt too, and country music. Like we like all of that stuff here.
Hell yeah, bro! Get me some Luke Bryant and some cars driving in circles. Yeah, I've been playing actually on an emulator, which is fine because I own an actual physical copy of this game. I've been playing some Chrono Trigger again just because Nintendo and Squaresoft, that's not their name anymore, Square Enix will not let me purchase a modern version of that game on anything besides PC, and I don't like the PC version. That game still holds up really well. So I've been playing that with a Nintendo Switch Pro controller most evenings and just kind of going through the old title again. It's great. I wish I was playing the DS version because it has the animated cutscenes as well as the fast battle system, unlike the PlayStation 1, which you had loading into battles, which made the game horrendously slow. But you know, this is a emulated version of the Super Nintendo version, which is not the best. The best is the DS version, but it's close. And
did you see that they, like, a lot of the old Square games on iOS, like they replace them? Like, so if you owned, like, say, like a copy of Final Fantasy 1 and 2 or 3, like they replaced the pixel versions with 3D versions because they want you to buy the pixel remasters that just came out.
I did not know that. I did re-download Chrono Trigger on my phone because that was a game I purchased when it came out, and man, I hate playing those games on phones. So I turned it on for a minute, and there's just so much lag on their joystick that you use on the phone. It's like the worst way to play it. So
you should. I don't know if you have AirPlay on your TV, but throw it up on your TV and turn on your Xbox controller. It makes the experience just a little bit better.
Yeah, I'll probably just keep playing on my computer. I almost thought about, the Xbox Series X and Series S is powerful enough that in developer mode, you can actually install emulators on it, and then you can play emulate games on your Series X. However, it's got a lot of hoops to jump through, so I looked into it, and I was like, I don't really want to have to lose hard drive space and do all the other things that you need to do to be able to accomplish that and play these games. When it's like, I've got a computer 10 feet away, I can just plug controller in and play. But yeah, man, Chrono Trigger is still a great game. I am just astonished and baffled that I have to go through these weird archaic ways like emulators versus just letting me purchase the game again on Switch or putting it with the Nintendo Switch Online function. It's just, I mean, even just Earthbound, just one of the nostalgic Super Nintendo RPGs I would kill for. But they don't care.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, let me ask you this, though. What is it? So, Nintendo likes to do this thing, right, where they make their copies of, like, certain Mario games hard to get because they want to be able to, like, do the re-releases and make a bunch of money off of it. Mario Sunshine 64, whatever it might be. With, like, Square games, these old RPGs, you have a clear craving for these old games, like whether it's a remake, a remaster, even just like a simple re-release of the game. But they refuse to do it because they want to make the games valuable, I guess. But they don't really profit off of people reselling these games for a butt ton of money on eBay. Like, I guarantee you, Nintendo didn't make any money off of the Mario 64 selling for a crap ton on the Heritage Auction site.
Yeah, I mean, asking why Nintendo does a lot of the things they do it's baffling. I honestly couldn't explain, like, why they release collector's editions and make them ultra rare, like the example of Fire Emblem Fates, if you remember that 3DS multi-cartridge Fire Emblem. They had a collector's edition that was $80 that had all 3 games on one cartridge, and they released like hundreds of those, and that was the better way to play the game. It was the only way that you get all 3 games on one cartridge. So I
Yeah.
actually didn't ever pick up that game because, well, it's not true. I picked up a copy of it and I sold it immediately because I hated it. But I did not get it for a long time because I could not get that version of it. And the fact that they just didn't want to sell that version to people was just silly. Why would they make it that way? If anything, make it cost more money to get all 3 games on one cartridge. But they made it a cheaper thing than buying each game separately, and they released lower quantities of them. It made no sense at all. So in the end, that version ended up becoming worth like probably hundreds of dollars. Let me see what a Fire Emblem Fates Collector's Edition goes for. My guess is quite a bit of money. Yeah, $250 used. And it sold for $80. And this is like not even that old of a game, you know? And that's just the cartridge. So, yeah, man, Nintendo just sucks at this stuff. And Square Enix kind of is also the same. Like, they rarely re-release their stuff, and when they do, they release it at ridiculous price points. Like the Legend of Mana re-release they did this last summer, that was $30 for just the PS1 version of the. I mean, that's so much money for like an old PS1 game that they did very, very little work to. But
and you're not even getting a fit, like with a lot of those games that are re-released digitally, you don't really even get a physical copy of it. You know, you're just downloading it from a marketplace.
Yeah, I think you can buy the physical version of those games, like in Asia and stuff, they sell it. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time you're just getting a digital code. But it's ridiculous, man. The whole thing is just ridiculous. And, you know, it's how Nintendo's done stuff always. So I don't know what to say other than that. Yeah, they're going to keep doing dumb stuff. Collecting their games is always going to be a challenge if that's what you're trying to do. You need to like buy copies of it as soon as they launch. You know, if they're not like a Mario or some other title that will come out. And you can't really like bargain hunt them. Because if you try to do that, the game might disappear and you might never get another chance to buy it again.
You literally have to pay the price when it comes out. Yeah. You know, and that's another, you know, we talked about it before, like, you know, do we just start buying 2 copies of games now?
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever do that for modern titles. There are a few rare games I would probably do that for. But I think most titles, especially the disc-based ones, and especially PS4, PS5, Xbox games, they aren't going to hold their value because a lot of them are based on online services. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is never going to be worth money. That game's...
Oh, no, absolutely not. Same thing with the Forza franchise.
Yeah, Forza, Halo, Halo, Last of Us. Any of the big titles, like, I mean, maybe in 30, 40 years, but at that point, I would imagine I just don't see those games really holding their value. I see like some Nintendo titles holding their value, but even stuff like Breath of the Wild, like, yeah, there's a possibility it gets to the Super Mario 64 level where, you know, you have the in-box sealed version of it, but the games also aren't made the way they used to be. They don't come, not all of them come with manuals. Or, you know, and like different wrap.
You don't have reprints of a lot of them. Remember, like with Nintendo 64, you had different reprints. PlayStation had the greatest hits reprints. You don't get reprints anymore. It's just it's all the same thing over and over again. So I think that takes away from the value. But then, you know, looking at the RPG scene, like I think if you were to do something like that where you buy 2 copies and don't open one, the RPG world is probably going to be where the value accumulates.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. You can go out there and buy, like, you know, your Ys game, like Ys 9. You could get a copy of that and hope that it values up. I recently picked up a copy of Hyper Light Drifter, one of my favorite indies, a physical version of it. It's a collector's edition. They sold it at like Best Buy. Primarily, I bought that as like an investment almost, if you will, because I think it will value up. And I've been quite lucky in the past. No thousands and thousands of dollars, but hundreds of dollars on things like the Drakengard guide that I had. But yeah, man, we'll see. I don't know if I'll ever get into real collecting just because it's so hard and it's so painful, and the versions that you're able to get are not always kept in the best condition. So, but yeah, I'm interested to hear in this retro rally what else you get. And, you know, since we do some video, I'm excited to see what your Guardian Crusade, which I watched a video about, looked pretty neat, like an old PS1 RPG. See how that comes when you get it. Because, you know, when you're paying $40 or so for these really, really old, rare things, you're just never sure of the quality, you know, whether it's the disc or the case. And And, if it's just a really poor quality, what's the point of collecting?
Right. Yeah, if you get something that's, I mean, luckily with the PS1 games and the jewel cases, you can replace them. But yeah, if they don't, like if it's sun faded or you don't have the manual or really anything else, like there's not really any point in buying it.
Yeah. Do you remember an old game called Gladius, like an old turn-based RPG on
I thought it was,
PS2 and Xbox?
I thought it was pronounced Gladius.
Gladius. So yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, whatever it is pronounced. That's a game. I wonder if it's actually valued up. If you had like a new version of it, I really enjoyed that game. I don't know if you ever played it, but that game was great. Did you ever try it out?
Yeah. That was. I remember that's on. Wait, sorry. That's the Gladiator game, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's an RPG, and it was on Xbox and PlayStation. I
remember.
And
you can level up your character, and you can put it on a memory card and.
Yeah, 4-player co-op.
Other people's. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a game like I've thought about. Like I don't know if I ever owned a copy, so if I ever saw like a perfect condition copy of it, I might pick it up someday. But it's weird. Like it looks like, let's see, it looks like used ones going for like $30 nowadays. But man, those games, that was like the last era I think I would ever collect would be the original Xbox era of gaming.
Oh yeah. I think that's kind of where I stopped. Like I still have PS3 games and 360 stuff left over from when I did have it, but I never got on my way to buy them.
Yeah, and I sold a lot of my PS3 games probably a little bit too early. Like Demon's Souls, I had the first printing of that, and the first printing of Folklore, if you remember that PS3 RPG. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. About non-retro stuff, there's very, very, very little news today. But one thing that is that could potentially, we've kind of bellyached and bemoaned this year. It's been a really weird year for the AAA space, I should say. There's plenty of good indies coming out. There always are. But there's not really a ton of stuff that's getting us excited. We're hoping Halo comes out. I probably am excited for Ghost of Tsushima, even though it's like a DLC expansion. So that's, take it as you will. But there's a rumor that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is supposed to be revealed later this year. Just came out on IGN today. The idea was it was supposed to come out this year, but like a lot of things got pushed. So I'm curious if it comes out, if we're gonna get like another almost 2017, which is I want to say when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 released, and they had Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Because next year we're supposed to get Breath of the Wild 2 and new Xenoblade, probably a new Splatoon, just like 2017. So man, if they put another Mario out, Nintendo will have like 4 heavy hitters.
I mean, if they get to that, right? Like if we don't have things pushed back, but like if they beef up next year, like it could be worth it to go out and buy an OLED Switch because
I'm still hoping there will be a better model at some point mid next year, and the OLED is a stopgap. But yes, I hear what you say. I'm curious because this year, the biggest title I think I'm the most excited for from them is probably Metroid Dread, and I've never been a huge 2D Metroid guy. I actually like the 3D ones more, so we'll see. But I just thought that was neat that they, there is a glimpse of hope for Nintendo because they've been in like such a weird space since before the pandemic. A lot of people will say the pandemic and stuff, but even before that, like the year right before, they had Luigi's Mansion 3 and I think Pikmin 3 I think was 2020.
They had the Zelda
Link's Awakening?
Link's Awakening, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that came out the same year as Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
They were both at E3.
So they had some titles, but there was nothing kind of like big and wow, nothing that was like, whoa, I can't wait. And then obviously 2020 came around and it was real rough. Besides Animal Crossing New Horizons, it was, Paper Mario and Pikmin 3 and this year it looks like we're going to get, a new title every month, but they're, very different quality. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. I'm glad that there's rumors because it gives me hope that, hey, maybe they'll even get stuff together and get Metroid Prime 4 out next year, or get some old Metroid stuff, or put Nintendo 64 games on the Nintendo Switch Online service.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
That would be. I don't know if it will ever happen.
We just want a remake of Gex, man. That's what we're all looking for.
Dude, we got to get that Gex, especially when he does the Titanic level, man. Everybody loves that one. Oh man, Gex, such a terrible game. Did you play that one?
Yeah, I played through the whole series. The first one was pretty awful. The second and third one, like I remember, I beat, but
It was just like in that weird age where it wasn't really like a collectathon, if I remember. It's more like a platformer, like you just go through the motions and you finish the level. And it was at that time where I wanted to just collect stuff. And they made these cool worlds, but you essentially just went from one end of the world to the other. I just remember a lot of issues with it.
It was basically, it was like Sonic with lizards, like that, with a lizard. Like it didn't really serve a purpose except for like, Gex was the game that like moms didn't like because they went out of their way to like sneak in little like swears and dirty innuendos,
sexual
in the game.
innuendos. Yeah. Like I'm looking at the covers and it's like Gex, Enter the Gecko, and Deep Cover Gecko. And Deep Cover Gecko has Gex on it and a woman in like a tight suit. And it made like no sense. But it was Eidos, the company that made Tomb Raider. So they had to get their sex in, bro. They know sex sells. But I would be down to play Gex and Croc and all those games if they ever re-released them for like a reasonable price. But I just would more like to be able to play the games, just the classics even. Like the idea that I'm having to turn to emulators, because I own these titles, and the Nintendo botched everything after the Wii Virtual Console. It's just so disappointing. I complain about that a lot on Super BS, both the old and the new. But it's just kind of wild. Like it's wild to think like game ownership and license ownership is so difficult in this day and age where you essentially have to keep around every old console if you want to be able to play these games, or you have to build emulators.
Yeah. And that the emulator thing's frowned upon, but like you wouldn't have this issue if you would make your games readily available, even if they're just on a marketplace. Like look at, we talk about the virtual, Wii's virtual marketplace or whatever.
Yeah, the virtual console, which they killed off.
If these companies were to make these games easier to get, and I don't think people would have an issue paying for them. It's just the scarcity, just trying to find them, is the reason that the pirating in the games and game industry is so bad.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at an old game, Valkyrie Profile, which was like one of my favorites on the PlayStation 1, and I think I owned a copy of it. It was kind of a very rare game. It was made by one of the last Enix titles before Square bought them. And it's just disappointing to see like such a cool title, and they released a update for it only on PSP and phones, and to know it's like, oh, I can't, or I mean, I guess I can. The phone is my least favorite way to play, but like, it's just so crazy to me that they've made it so difficult to access these games that are in a lot of ways on other marketplaces. It's not like they don't exist. They just don't want to make them easy to get a hold of.
Well, yeah, and if they don't, somebody else will, whether it's an emulator site or someone who's like crowdfunding some new like analog pocket or whatever, it will find a way. Because, I mean, you can go on to Etsy and you can find people selling USB drives full of emulated games that they probably didn't pay a cent for. So it's somebody else will put it out, so it seems like it would make sense for the company to do it and make a profit from it.
I hear you, my bro. I hear you. Anything else that kind of stood out to you this week, or anything you want to like chat about? I know we're kind of on a weird rung of not as much to talk about as we normally have, because it's, maybe with Gamescom coming here at the end of the month, we'll have a lot more to say, but it's been a bit on the slow side. Do you have anything that has stuck out to you? They've been thinking about?
Not really. I know the only thing that's big news coming out here is Microsoft announcing they're doing a showcase for Gamescom, which we will be able to watch. I think they said August 24th. So I would hope that by then we would get a release date for Halo and maybe some other announcements regarding games coming out in the fall season.
Yeah, I'm interested. I feel like Microsoft's already solidified what they're going to release this year, and there's just a lot of little fun drops. Like we're going to get Psychonauts 2 this month, and Hades, and 12 Minutes, and hopefully some more stuff. But yeah, it is interesting to think like we have no date for Halo. I am hoping it comes out this year, but I'm not, counting it out till they date it, until that date is really close. Because if they date it for December, I don't have a lot of faith in what's going on right now. Yeah. So yeah, man, we will see. I think we're going to be talking a lot more about older games than we used to on this podcast. That's not the thing that we only like talking about. There's just a lot less modern stuff to really chat about. Yeah, I mean, there's these indies that come out and they're all super neat, but to be honest with you, none of them outside of Death's Door and Ender Lilies have really like just caught my eye, and even those are literally less versions of Hyper Light Drifter in Death's Door's case and Hollow Knight in Ender Lilies. Like, they're different, but they are very similar games, and those titles I just mentioned, Hollow Knight and Hyper Light Drifter, are some of my favorite indie titles. So Death's Door is wonderful, but it's just not the same. Okay, my bro stuff, if it's okay with you, we're going to hit the road and we're going to come back with a vengeance next week. I know this is a short episode, my friends, but we will be here and we will be square, okay? We're going to be wearing our glasses and talking to you about all that stuff. Try to get some more video and stuff going and try to get all this stuff off the ground so we can please you, okay? Because we know what you like.
Yeah, we know, and you know that we know.
And we hope that you know that we know that you know that we know. Okay, my bro stuff. I will talk to you on the mañana. By that, I mean next week.
Peace. Oh, yeah.